unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands. Oh, Thomas, how could you? Some of us might be thinking, how could you not believe your friends? How could you not realize who this Jesus was? The one you had followed night and day for such a long time. The one who had performed so many miracles. The one who had taught with authority and who had been unlike any other person that you had ever met. Why all the fuss? Why all the conditions? Why all the skepticism, Thomas? After all you had seen, why would you even bother to question what was possible? In other words, Thomas, why all the doubt? Why all the doubt? You know, my friends, the answer to that question is quite simple. Why all the doubt? Because Thomas was a person of faith. Now, some of us might be thinking, other than Judas Iscariot, isn't Thomas the one apostle who had been somewhat ridiculed over the centuries? The one we're not supposed to imitate? The one who exhibited less faithfulness than the other disciples? Isn't he the one of whom many people might say, I really don't want to be like him? Well, maybe so. But that is not the attitude about Thomas that anyone should have. You see, Jesus does not seem to have much of a problem with Thomas at all. In fact, there is something tender and very gentle about how Jesus goes out of his way to lead Thomas to a deeper understanding, to a deeper commitment, to a deeper kind of belief. Can you imagine what might have happened if Jesus had first appeared to Thomas and not to the others? My guess is that they would not have believed him either. But what about if you and I were in Thomas's situation? What would we have done? I think you know the answer. The reality is that much of what we believe in faith really is pretty incredible. And it challenges our preconceived notions of how things are and how things work. Is the resurrection glaringly apparent? Is the Holy Trinity obvious? Does the Virgin Mary's being a virgin make perfect sense in giving birth to Jesus? Had we been the first persons to hear about these things? Might we too have said, unless I see? And yet, are we not people of faith? There is a great danger in presuming that doubt is contrary to faith, as if the two are incompatible. I believe that in many ways the essence of faith is doubt. They're not opposites. They actually go together. Some might think that faith and certainty go together. But that is simply not the case. Knowledge and certainty? Possibly. Faith and certainty? Not so much. It is as if we think that believing is simply an act of the will, as if we can kind of force ourselves to accept the deepest truths about our faith. All we need are the right answers, and we will have faith. Wrong. Faith is not about having the right answers. It's much more about asking the right questions, the big life questions, the deep questions about who we are, who God is, and even whether there is a God. And if so, what does it all mean? And so faith is really all about wanting to understand more about things that we will never fully understand or have complete evidence for. Real faith leads us on a journey and therefore does not lock us up in the prison of our own ideas, our own attitudes, our own preconceived notions. Real faith is not about clinging to what is, but rather is about exploring and searching for what can be, what might be, what should be. My friends, faith leads us to where we can be much more today than we were yesterday. So not only is it okay to have a certain amount of doubt, it is entirely necessary if we ever want to grow in faith, ever want to grow closer to the profound mystery that is God, grow more confident in God's personal unconditional love for us. Faith is God's gift, and it's given to the rich and the poor, the educated and the unschooled, the young and the old. And so we don't have to understand everything to be people of faith. In fact, that is not even possible. Faith always involves stepping out into the unknown, trusting even though we don't know where the path leads, believing even when we can't make sense of it all. Real faith is what allowed Thomas to cry out, "My Lord and my God." Thomas did not lack faith. He just had questions, the same questions that you or I might have. And so, my friends, let's not cling to the idea that we have to either have faith or have doubt. Rather, let's be okay with embracing both, and consequently live a life of faith in which we can both believe and want to understand more. Believe and search for evidence. Believe and continue asking questions. And when we're able to do that, when we are able to believe, even when we're still wondering about so much, we might just begin being more fully alive than we ever were before. That is what having real faith can do. That is what asking the right questions can do. Faith or doubt, that is not the choice. Faith and doubt is what ultimately will lead us to where we need to be. May we never stop believing. And at the very same time, may we never stop wondering.